This is Via Voices, the podcast that brings you insights from the champions of international education. I'm your host, Brooke Roberts, and together we'll uncover the stories behind impactful global learning experiences and the professionals who make them possible. What will global education look like in 2045? This question is at the heart of Emily Merson's passion for the future of international education.
There's a huge need in our field for innovation. One of my main areas of focus outside of what I do for a day job is really promoting new ideas in the field. Forum's been a great champion of that, and I've been really happy to be part of working with them on how do they push the ideas up into the public view.
Emily is what you might call a trailblazer. Founder of the first global internship company and later executive director of AIFS Abroad, she's been at the forefront of reimagining global learning through innovation, sustainability, and career readiness. Emily, welcome to the Via Voices podcast. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks so much for having me, Brooke.
Awesome. So we're here at AIEA. I've known you for many, many years. You've had a really cool career. I want you to share with everybody how you found your way into international education as a career.
Well, I was a kind of global child, and I grew up in a global family. And so I always had this idea that I wanted to spend time in different countries and experience the world. I also describe myself as a reluctant entrepreneur. I didn't know that that was my calling or my skill set, and sort of fell into that role that I now really embrace. So I started a company to solve a problem. In 2001, when I first thought, hey, I want a global career, I could help young people find opportunities for career readiness and internships abroad. So that's where I started.
Yeah, that's cool. So tell us more about that. And I know the story. Global Experiences was your company for many years.
Yes.
I feel like you guys kind of spearheaded in a lot of ways the international internship space. What was that like? How hard was it to convince institutions that they needed to do this?
So we were the first global internship program on the internet in 2002. Mm-hmm. So we just started in 2001 with a whole range of products, but 2002 really launched international internships. So we were not part of global education. We were not an academic offering. We were a professional offering, and it was designed for students who wanted to get an internship abroad. We were not welcomed for a good 10 years by universities. And it took a group of similar organizations to work together to really get a seat at the table at events like this. And even AIEA has taken maybe another few years after that to be interested in talking to us.
Yeah, I feel like the last few years, the concept of global education's impact, if you will, on career readiness has really come. I feel like people are like finally bought into it. And I feel like someone like you've been like, yeah, I've been banging this drum for decades.
Yes.
Welcome to the show. What are you most excited about in the various conversations and topics you've seen across lots of organizations? I know Forum's been doing a lot. NAFSA's been doing some things. What's got you most excited about the future of sort of that career readiness lens in global?
I think there's a realization that it's not a binary choice between academic and career outcomes. For a while, it was if we talked about career outcomes, we stopped being academic. And I think that that's a new frontier of reality. It's always been the reality because even if we hope that many students might choose an academic career, most of them need to get a job. Yeah. And so universities, whether we like it or not, will always be a place for developing what will become a career path. It doesn't mean it's a straight line from academics to a job, but there can be a journey that universities can be part of that they haven't been until more recently. But now they're at the table. We're all here together. So it's great.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to get your perspective. Obviously, you've with Global Experiences, I know you're with AIFS now, running the show. By the nature of your experience, you've worked with a lot of universities. So you understand what their challenges are. But I feel like you have a distinct perspective on what's facing provider side, the international education organization side, where you're delivering the program for, in a lot of ways, for most universities. What are some of the challenges, confusion, changes that are happening in recent times that you're most concerned about from that lens?
I think the biggest challenge that everyone's facing is scarcity of funding and who's responsible for solving that problem for students and universities. I think providers are now seen as partners. So I think there's been a great improvement in the relationships between universities and providers like AIFS abroad. And I think that's a great thing. There's a natural opportunity for cooperation. We don't have to all compete with each other. And so I find that I think it's more of a good news story between providers and universities. I think that we have an existential threat that affects all of us, and that's a natural bonding opportunity. And there's really good relationships now. Well, maybe it's always been there, but I feel like there's much more warmth and a sense of community that has broken down some of those barriers that have existed.
So we talked off camera, and you kind of hinted at some cool developments that are happening, interesting developments with various colleagues across the field about kind of coming together and how we're going to message and maybe even advocate for our field. Can you tell me a little bit about that without spilling too much of the beans?
Of course. Yeah. So at this very moment, we're at the beginning of March in 2025, there are some very big existential threats to our field that we're all navigating through, figuring out what it means for us. We've got pauses on major scholarships that are going to impact the future of the field, and just a general sense that maybe our value hasn't been clearly demonstrated enough. We've had a similar threat during COVID. You know, we felt like we were threatened, but it didn't necessarily result in a collective response. We had cooperation, it built some good ties, but the major international education organizations that we all know did not exactly come together. And we looked for leaders, we looked for a joint message, we looked for advocacy, and it did not come together in a way that I think we all hoped as part of professionals in the field. But now I think this is a different sort of threat. It's like when you have a significant collective existential threat, you do tend to agree that you're all on the same team and maybe it's time to cooperate. So I describe that as like the lifeboat experience. We're all in the same lifeboat now. And it's time to really develop the messaging and cooperation and joint strategy that we really haven't ever had. So there is a group of, you know, the leading organizations, NAFSA, the Forum, and also a couple of others, the Alliance, who are thinking we need a joint message, we need joint PR. What we need is a way better story about who we are and what we do. And I think it's gone under the radar. We assume people naturally understand the benefits of what we do, but we do not have a joint message at the moment.
Do you guys have a timeline that you started thinking about when you'd like to see this? I mean, you told me something before, which I thought was very striking about how, you know, we don't, as a field, we don't have the person we point to, like put them on CNN.
There is a sense that we need much better media management around this and a joint campaign that runs at different levels and it's national and international in its design, and that we're bringing the best people to the table to try and create that message and then communicate it in a much bigger way using different methods we've never used before.
Right.
And so I think that's really exciting. And I love that it's happening in multiple different areas, but that there is an idea that I believe we need 3 or 4 talking points. We need, 5 data points.
Right.
And we need to just talk about it morning, noon, and night.
And over and over. So we're all sick of hearing it.
So we can all stand up and be the spokespeople for the field.
Yeah.
But we've often seen individual actors, right? Yeah. So either individual organizations having one strategy, another one has another one. The big universities have their own. Maybe the Ivy Leagues have their own. We have, state schools with their own. We have little privates with their own. We have providers who don't have anyone. And, so we're all in our own little zones thinking that maybe it's better if we go our own way because we think that we're isolated.
Yeah.
But the truth is that together we're really quite large and impressive. And the reality is that even if we haven't found them yet, some of the most important leaders in this country in all fields did a study abroad program.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important that we find them and work with them and put them up front as part of our story because we haven't owned our success. And as a field, we are really important. Yeah. And I think we haven't stepped into that.
1000% agree. I don't know who thought of this, but they're a genius. I want to be involved any way I can help and support. Absolutely. Via, we would love to be a supporter as well. I think it's really interesting how if you look at other industries, we just call it an industry. You look at petroleum. You look at, we're here in Texas right now, so petroleum's everywhere,
Yes.
You look at, the gun lobby. They all have a centralized voice.
Yes.
And talking points. And love them or hate them, It's very powerful to have that uniform voice. I 1000% agree that having that bigger message that we all tap into all the time will only lift all boats. Going back to your analogy.
Yes.
By the time we post this, hopefully we'll have like a landing page. People can go sign up or something to get news and updates about this. And maybe we'll have a little precursor or something. That's
hope so. I mean, this is a time is now situation. Like exactly. I'm ready to do it tomorrow. So we do have to bring people together and have a plan. I've heard about what the plan is. I think it's exciting. I'm looking forward to it. We're really going to try and engage across grassroots level all the way up to the most impressive people we can find who want to be part of this campaign. And I think it'll help to chart a new course for us. So, I mean, the silver lining to the unfortunate circumstance that we're in is the fact that existential threats tend to coalesce and clarify thinking. And whereas we may have thought we had lots of different things and plenty of time and we can all work on our own thing, actually, no, we actually have to work on this now.
We need to find an awesome advertising company where the founders studied abroad or something. So they'll pro bono do something for us. That'd be great.
Yeah, let's all put out, that's what we need. We need a collective strategy.
That's great. Well, I wanted to switch gears a little bit and talk more about like professional development, coming up, you've come up obviously for the reluctant entrepreneur wing, but still entrepreneurial side of things, but been obviously very involved in all our different professional organizations. Has there been something, you started, in this space pretty young with a dream and idea, has there been a professional development experience, whether inside International Ed or elsewhere, that was really meaningful to you and really helped shape how you became a leader, how you grew your organizations?
I wish there was a good answer for that because I would love everybody to be able to use it. I think for me, I've always been a reader. Like I'm a learner. I find bits of information through different situations. I had an amazing business coach, probably, 15 years ago, who was instrumental in navigating more than just the professional side, but the intersection of personality and business coaching. So somebody who could use, we started using StrengthsFinder assessment in 2009. The idea that you can maximize your talents for an outcome was a very empowering message. And so various different pieces have formed a sort of compendium of probably 5 things that I would say were very instructive and that I've built upon, and I've shared that with people who've worked for me and with young people that I know to say these are, really quintessential things that help you essentially maximize your abilities and opportunities.
I'm curious, what are a couple of your strengths from StrengthsFinders?
Oh, I can tell you my strengths.
Oh, yeah, tell me.
Oh my goodness. I'm like the Kool-Aid drinker in this one. So we do it for all of our students and we've always done it with our team as well. So mine are input learner, individualization, maximizer, and futuristic.
Okay. I see all that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, totally. I'm like,
all of them.
Tracks. Yep. 1000%.
Yeah, so
I've never actually done it. My partner works for like a huge corporation, corporate world, whatever. And they do StrengthsFinders all the time. So he's always like, you got to do StrengthsFinders. I was like, that sounds so corporate-y.
I can't believe you haven't done it.
I'm going to. Now that you have convinced me.
But it helps you crystallize who exactly you are.
Yeah. I'm going to do it, and then I'm going to report back to you and let you know what I am.
And I'll give you some coaching.
You can tell me like, no, that tracks.
Totally.
So I want to do a few rapid fire more lighthearted, fun questions. In academia, we're not that brief, so rapid is a loose term. So tell me about the last book you read and how it influenced how you saw the world.
So I did think about this, knowing you were going to ask me this question, and I love books. It's like I learn most of the things that I need to know about it, that and podcasts, which I also love. So the book I read I started reading last October, is called Magic Mind by Dr. Doty, and he's a neurosurgeon at Stanford, but he's also got involved in the Dalai Lama Institute. So he's studied manifestation and the idea of manifestation, which is become, I think I've always done it because I'm a futurist and I'm an ideator, and I think I can imagine the world in 3 dimensions in the future pretty well, and that's helped me do a lot of the things I've done professionally. But that book is amazing, and it's got the science. It's called The Science and Art of Manifesting. So it's been incredible the last 6 months. I feel like the idea is there's synchronicities, and you can essentially create opportunity through manifesting that you hadn't thought possible. And it sounds a bit woo-woo, but it actually works.
No, I was about to say, Emily had no idea you leaned woo-woo, and I'm so excited for that.
It feels woo-woo. I know, but then I'm like, here am I, like seeing all these amazing things happening. So
I love that. Yeah, years ago when I first got into yoga, and a lot of that stuff was, taught in various capacities, and I got super into yoga, like nerdy about it, and read a ton of books, and I started leaning into that manifestation kind of world as well. And at first I was like, come on, nah. And then I started like welcoming it as an idea, and things started happening. It was pretty amazing. But I want to read that book
because it's written by a neurosurgeon.
Right, yeah.
The science is the brain science is there, so it doesn't feel quite so abstract and
and not just like a 5,000-year-old yogi. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I'm a huge yoga person, so it plays into that as well.
So I want you to dream for a second. So if we removed any technological, geographic, and financial limitations, what's one thing or one problem you would solve in international education like that? Aside from, so I feel like I need to, because other people have asked this question, I'm like, aside from like, we want everyone to go abroad. That's a given. So aside from everybody gets to go, what's another problem?
Well, Brooke, I think you had this idea at that bold thing we did together in, where was it,
the
Boston?
forum thing? Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
And you said there should be a global passport visa so all students could just travel around the world with no limitations.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with that.
Yeah. No, I agree. I don't think I technically had that idea. I think Kate Moore said, you're going to talk about it, and I had to figure it out.
Oh, I was like, that was really good.
So it wasn't my idea. I cannot correct. Kate Moore, you're welcome. Yeah.
So no, I think that the idea of a youth mobility, like class globally, where, the world's countries decide that youth education and mobility is a global good.
Yeah.
And that we can create more of a trading system where we don't have to create one country systems that don't necessarily work. Like I love Erasmus in Europe. Yeah. I think a global Erasmus would be amazing.
Yeah. Well, and I just think too, I think outside of our space specifically, I mean, I think people are just not aware about this. Not all passports are created equal. Yes. And they just don't realize that like, just because you were born and have a passport from a specific location, now either half the world is cut off to you in a lot of ways or completely open. And it's like luck of the draw. It's been years since we did that debate. And I still hang by that too. I'm like,
it's almost 10 years. Yeah. 9 years, actually.
Yeah. We will link to it in the show notes so everyone can go watch the whole thing. It's on YouTube for people to go enjoy. So
that was a formative event.
Yeah, that was really fun.
It was.
Yeah. Oh, it was it was GIC, not Forum. Sorry.
It was GIC, and we were at the Ted Kennedy Library in Boston.
It looked like the real Senate chambers.
No, the Senate, sorry.
The
Senate chambers.
That was
fantastic.
Cool. That was cool. I was a Democratic senator from Kansas, which has never existed, but I was that.
I was from Maryland.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Do you still live in Maryland?
I do.
Yeah.
Annapolis.
Okay,
greatest city in America.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's my push for that.
That's awesome.
Great city.
So we'll kind of wrap up the conversation with kind of paying it forward a little bit. You've had a really cool career. Obviously, your focus has really been on career development for students, and obviously you've mentored and worked with a great team. For somebody sort of earlier in their career at any stage who maybe sees themselves going more in the entrepreneurial side of our space, what's a piece of advice you would give them if they wanted to start a company or get involved in a startup in our space?
I think there's a huge need in our field for innovation. One of my main areas of focus outside of what I do for a day job is really promoting new ideas in the field. And Forum's been a great champion of that, and I've been really happy to be part of working with them on how do they push the ideas up into the public view. It tends to be young people with ideas, and it's not that old people can't have ideas or people further in their career, but I love to have somebody come up to me and say, hey, I've got a great idea. I say that to my team all the time. Hey, I've got an idea. But I think that it's really important to support and give space to people with ideas. Like it took me 10 years to get anybody to really listen to me. And so I hope that that's not the case anymore. I really think it's important to give time to young people who have entered the field, who have ideas. And even if it's just ideas to change something that's, a moderate change, or if it's a bold change, but to assume that new ideas or innovation is disruptive in a bad way. I think our field has not done a good job at welcoming new ideas because there's a sort of a scarcity mindset.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see a growth mindset.
Yeah. I have a great idea
Okay.
for you.
Yes.
I feel like your next act, you should start an international education incubator.
I have thoughts about a venture fund. Yeah, that's
I could totally see you doing that.
Yeah, I've really love working with entrepreneurs, and it's really fun. So yeah. I'm a big supporter. And actually, at the new forum that's coming up in a few weeks, we are going to do our first pitch competition.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we have 5 different finalists with ideas that are going to be on the stage with their 5-minute TED Talk.
Yeah.
And we've worked with each of them. I've had my own mentor and mentee, and I've been helping her to develop her pitch. And I'm giving her all my secret skills to be successful and persuasive. So she's doing great, and really excited to see her on the stage.
Oh, that's so cool. I'm excited to see that in a couple of weeks. I'll be there.
Oh, good.
I'll be cheering from the front. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, Emily. Thank you so much for being on the show. This is a pleasure.
It was a real
Love
pleasure.
hearing more about your story and all these new cool things you're doing.
Yes.
And so we'll be definitely watching out for bigger announcements about this new initiative.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure, Brooke. Thank
Thanks.
you.